Hi, everyone. As restaurants across the country begin to reopen to indoor dining and more diners are wanting to get out of the house, how can restaurants, hotels, and other spaces in the food service industry think about better utilizing their spaces in a post-pandemic world? Hi, everyone. I'm Claudia Sarek, and welcome to another Trust 20 Live event. Today, we're going to be hearing from Trust 20 partner WorkChew, COO and co-founder Allyson McDougal, to discuss restaurants reinventing themselves in the coming months and how WorkChew is turning restaurant spaces into workspaces. Hi, Allyson. How are you doing today?
Hi, Claudia. It's so good to see you. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Absolutely. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about WorkChew, who you are, how this all got started, and your team's inspiration for building this?
Absolutely. So at WorkChew, we partner with hotels and restaurants and turn their underutilized spaces into a network of flexible, bookable workspaces for remote professionals. We've actually been around since 2018, so we're very much a pre-COVID company. As you could imagine, in the world that we're in now, the level of relevancy of the product. It was originally thought of by my co-founder and our CEO, Maisha Burt. And her origin story of wanting to actually create the platform is that she was a remote worker, had opportunities to want to connect with her colleagues, and never really could find a place that was an ideal fit. Other than having to go back into the traditional office space where majority of her colleagues were spread out in the metro area. Mm-hmm. So she came up with the idea by just kind of having some discussions with restaurant operators and birthed the idea of WorkChew. I came along a few months later and looking at it from a scalability opportunity and actually reached out and saw that there was a lot of potential with how much that this could scale. So I originally got involved, helped get it to a few properties in the DC area where we are originally our origins and we're headquartered. It's, almost 2.5 years later today, we've been together ever since. So to its origins, we really just wanted to kind of solve the challenges of, hospitality. And originally we actually exclusively only worked with restaurants. There's a historical dead time. And it was just kind of built into the business model of having just lower seat turnover and table turnovers. And is there an opportunity to kind of pair that with people who were looking for something a little bit more elevated than the coffee shop experience, maybe didn't want to have to go into their office, stay home, and probably didn't want to make that financial investment of more of a traditional co-working space. And that's really where WorkChew was born. We have a heck of a journey, as you could imagine, to where we've evolved into today. But to its core competencies, we still focus on providing affordable and accessible workspace for all professionals. We have the gambit of students all the way to consultants that travel on a weekly basis, utilizing our services and pairing the hospitality industry with people who could reimagine how to use their spaces and lean into the opportunity to kind of diversify their revenue streams and incomes with these huge real estate assets and commitments that they sign up for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So it sounds like you guys started off in the restaurant space, and you saw that was like where the primary target was and where you were seeing the most underutilized spaces during those off times. And then you moved into other areas too, like hotels and other spaces. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so the hotel addition really actually was a result of COVID. As you could imagine with quarantine, as many of the operators on the line, we all kind of experienced how everything was shut down. So we leaned into our audience and our membership base and really wanted to kind of hear from them at that time, when we come out of this, what type of experience would you look for? Sure. And we saw an opportunity around the whole portfolio of hospitality. We had a wonderful boutique property in the DC area that had a great restaurant that just opened up as soon as, some restrictions were lifted. They had this great square footage, indoor, outdoor, kind of hitting all of the cylinders of having indoor, outdoor seating, kind of air moving in and out. And so that's actually how we originally started into the hotel space by partnering with a location that kind of served a few different needs on just size and flexibility. The opportunity really kind of picked up for us as a team when it was one of our most popular book spaces. And one of the things that we heard from our members is that they loved it there. They loved the atmosphere. They loved being around people again, socially distant. But they might have a need to do a call, and they just needed a place more quiet. And they noticed that there were, some conference rooms or small scale sectioned off spaces that were completely empty, lights out. And so we ended up talking to that property to say, hey, do you guys offer this by the hour? And so we uncovered the aspect that most hotels don't have the ability to monetize more of a transactional utilization of their meeting room spaces. And as you imagine, the nature of gathering, that's what people, pay those contract values for to access those spaces. So we really thought that we could be a mechanism of support and a easy turnkey way for the hotel industry to start to diversify income by being able to, monetize their hotel room space, access and list their common space, lobby space, restaurant space, if that's what they have at that property. And then we actually even graduated into starting to list their guest rooms and suites as day bookings, so people could spend their work day and say, I just want to get out the house one day a week and just get dressed, have a place. I do not want to commute into the office. That's aesthetically pleasing. And so the ability to book a room or a suite and just work there for the day and, reinvent that work day. And our properties have been so wonderful with getting creative on how they market their spaces. We have a property that puts a Peloton bike in their room. Some are coming up with really creative ways on showcasing like their pools or their gyms, if that's appropriate, or other features of that location, just to kind of, again, rewire how local residents view their traditional hospitality venues within their community as it not having to be a one type of experience engagement at those spaces. There's other ways that you can engage the space and have an enjoyable time and still be productive. So it's really kind of the onset of starting to list the hotels, but to its core origins, our book a seat functionality, or that elevated coffee shop experience, as we kind of characterize it, is our original order of the hotel industry at large.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I like that you talked about the amenities as well and like upgrading the workspace in general. And I think that that's part of getting out of the house and going somewhere else. And it, like you said, it's about that coffee experience with a little something else and the extras. And you provide all these extra discounts as well as for food and all these other benefits, which I think is great. So it's March 2020, COVID hits. And did you find that offices were reaching out to you that said, hey, a lot of our folks are working in the suburbs, or they're here, we can't necessarily have them commuting into the office, but we could offer another space for them near their homes. I mean, how do you decide on those locations, and what did that kind of look like? Give us the insight on those conversations.
Yeah, so we've had a great opportunity to really get into the trenches of speaking to heads of real estate, HR leaders, benefits, all different types of points of contacts with companies of all sizes, traditional SMBs to large-scale enterprises. And the biggest focus there is to have optionality and flexibility. So one of as many people know, the trend of people really settling into wanting square footage, having a little bit more space. We all kind of experience what it is like to be caught in a situation where you don't really have access to being able to kind of spread out. So that trend of people wanting to experience other parts of the country, other parts of the world, because they could still do their jobs anywhere, really has kind of piqued interest on saying, hey, we still need to be able to offer a workspace solution that's appropriate to our employees, because requiring their home environment to be their first workspace if they do not have access to a traditional private office in that city is starting to come along the lines of, is that an invasion in encroaching into their personal space, right? Because we've had this on mental health and separation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's been really fruitful to really see the appetite around the discussion. And so really how we go about doing that is just we bring the workspace to where the people live. So we just, engage our clients and prospective clients and learn a little bit more about their employee profile, and work with them to build a workspace model that reflects where their people live, to allow a more of an equitable and accessible workspace solution versus them traditionally being stood up in areas that are typically centered around central business districts. Clearly, you always need to have access there. But statistically, most employees tend to live within a 30 to 40 mile radius of that downtown urban area. And now you're starting to see people move into all different types of areas, again, domestically and internationally. So just being able to reflect that by partnering with hospitality spaces that already exist allows us to support our customers relatively quickly.
And it sounds like the appetite from these restaurants and those in the food service industry has been pretty positive. So I know that you've talked a lot previously, and I know even our prep call as well, we could have talked about it forever, about restaurants really reinventing themselves in this post-pandemic world. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that and what you think that looks like?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we all witnessed what having from traditional investment dialogue of that, you should always diversify, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so we kind of witnessed what a single business model, and if something completely out of your control, and this goes for any business owner, entrepreneur, or enterprise leader, if something out of your control can happen. So if the sole source of income is tied to one level of functionality, it leaves you up open to some threats, right? So the one thing that we are really enjoying the discussion with all of our partners and prospective partners is really talking through, yes, the part of this is just to, really survive some of the ebbs and flows of where we are, but let's also look long-term, right? So, we learned something once, let's bake in some aspects into our business model and our operations, and maybe even if we're bringing on new concepts, how the spaces are laid out, maybe how we decide to implement, more technology, or choosing different types of seating or tablescapes, anything along those lines, just so that we can always kind of support. If this aspect of the business goes for a certain reason, we can do this. Or if this aspect of the business goes, we can always kind of prop this up to make things meet until it stands back up. So from that standpoint, since we're the definition of a double-sided marketplace, our other customers on the hospitality side of the house, we really want to talk to them on how can we be a resource to really amplify your efforts, right? So we really view ourselves as a direct to consumer marketing channel. There's just some things you guys already have. All we really want to do is connect you to a pre-identified group that's paying to access our service, to do the thing that we are branding to do in your space. And then let's come up with really innovative ways on how to draw people to your location, maybe over another location, or draw people to your location in deciding to leave, get out of their house if they feel as though that's a decision for them and they feel comfortable doing so. So from that standpoint, we provide the tech and the resources to be able to do that, as well as the analytics on what the impact of being able to work with us in the pull through of our members utilizing their spaces and being able to stimulate spend and ordering and finding trends on how people are moving within the space, and how could we amplify and maybe tie them or connect them to additional things going on in your location, completely outside of the WorkChew hours, and just the functionality of, I come here, I set up my computer, I get some work done, I order some snacks or have a client meeting.
I like the fact that you're engaging with all of these pieces, and I feel like to me, it makes the Trust 20 partnership that you have a natural fit, in that it's they're doing these safe spaces, but so much of it is also focused on communication and how we communicate with diners and how we communicate with guests. Can you talk to me about the way that you view the partnership and what you value the most out of that?
Yeah, Trust 20 has really helped us frame, be a resource to both our individual members, our enterprise customers, as well as our hospitality partners, to really just have that consistent line of health and safety is first. So by having our spaces, go through and make the decision to go through the Trust 20 certification process, we really add that extra layer of, we keep your health and safety first and foremost. And particularly with all of the elements it is in order to be Trust 20 certified, really kind of, at least on the consumer side, has made people feel a lot more comfortable entering into the spaces, or also just the thought process of this space is committed or this brand is committed to ensuring that we have a safe and enjoyable experience if we do decide to leave our homes or engage into a public space. So I think it just really kind of helps make people feel more comfortable, as well as show that there's a level of commitment within the industry at large to putting customers' health and safety first.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I think it's a community effort. It's a communal effort between the staff, the team, the folks that are supporting the food service industry, and the diners themselves. So I love that. So your team just closed a round of funding in March of 2021 of $2.5 million, and congratulations on that. What a feat. Tell us about that and how that is going to affect the future of WorkChew and what you guys are doing.
Yes, we are so excited for this next stage of what we're morphing into. So those use of funds are really tied to the expansion of our product. So we are scaling into 20 markets throughout the duration of 2021. We are actively growing the team, going through interviews as we speak. I have one right after I get off this call. So we're growing our sales team on the enterprise side. We're also growing our customer success team to support our enterprise and hospitality partners, as well as our hospitality sales side, to reach out to these restaurant owners, operators, hotel groups, individual hotel properties, to get them listed on the platform and get them exposed to this rapidly growing market of remote workers who are looking for something more formal in how they leave their house versus just the on-the-fly type experience. So yeah, that's really what we're focusing in on. We're amplifying and growing our technology. So we're really excited about our product evolving as well. The team and I are proud of the product we have currently. It has definitely gotten some great responses, from a partner side. Our hospitality partners just really like how simple it is, but also from the user, and just how easy it is for them to kind of sort and make an educated and informed workspace decision. But there's a lot of growth there that we have a wish list that we are looking forward to roll out. So that's really what we're focusing in on, and getting into every major market within the United States and being able to support as many individual workers as well as companies looking to really work through what their workspace solution is going to be and address that middle element of hybrid, whether you are on your non-office work days, is what we like to call it, whether you're in the office or if you're home. What is that solution that you're providing your employees to be able to really work effectively if their home is not conducive for that day? And that's where we stand in. So that's what we're using the funds for.
I love it. I love it. And I think it's great that you're thinking about it, as we move out of the pandemic, and we're kind of on the other side of the slope, or I hope we are, at least. I think it's going to be like these flexible workspaces and these flexible work schedules. I think we're going to start seeing that more and more from companies. So, maybe potentially you hear a lot of people saying you're going to end up working from home a few days a week, even once we go back to the office. And so I think that it's so important that you're thinking about it in the long-term way. This is going to be something that just gets more and more popular over time. But with that, if a restaurant that's listening today wants to explore this, what's your advice to them to getting started on this?
Absolutely. So if this is something that you're interested in doing, like as I referenced, we are breaking into almost every major market in the United States of America. So regardless of where you are, please go to workchew.com, head over to the partners tab at the top, go ahead and input your details, and then one of our team members will be in touch and just learn more about your space and what you envision to do there. And we are, actively looking to build our supply out. As I referenced earlier, is that we support people who live all over. So, we really like to have authentic brands that represent that community and allows people to feel as though they have diverse options. That's a workspace that speaks to them. So we would love to, get as much feedback and
Yeah.
as possible. And the team and I would be really excited to chat.
Well, I have to say, Allyson, we love what you're doing here at Trust 20, and this was such a great conversation today. I can't wait to see what the future holds for WorkChew. We are so rooting for your success. And if anyone wants to hear more, head to workchew.com and head to trust20.co as well. So thanks so much for joining us today, Allyson.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone who's tuned in, and I look forward to continuing the discussion.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.